Welcome back to On Air B&B Football with just Bryce today. Today, I'm going to be coming at you with my college football 12 teams in 12 minutes. So, it's going to be a little thing that we're going to be doing throughout the college football season. I'm going to be bringing you my top 12 teams, try to do it in 12 minutes. This one's just going to be a little bit longer, just explaining it and getting through it. If you're not familiar with how the new playoff system works for college football, so there's going to be a 12-team playoff this year instead of just 4, which I'm so happy about. The top 5 teams from each conference are going to get an automatic bid into the college football playoffs. The top 4 teams get a bye, and then the other teams have to play it out, and yeah, it just goes from there. So before we get into the video, make sure you like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, show some love, and let's get into it. At number 12, we're going to go with LSU. The reason why I'm going with LSU is Brian Kelly is one of the best football coaches, I think, in college football. Last year, of course, they didn't have the season. They didn't start the season how they wanted to, but they ended very strong. Just had that one kind of, it wasn't a blowout, but it wasn't a very good show against Alabama. But other than that, they had a very strong end to the season. They do have 5 ranked opponents this season. They start with USC. They have Ole Miss. They have Texas A&M. They have Alabama, of course. And then they have Oklahoma to end the season. Their pass rush was good last season. Will continue to be good this season. But I'm putting LSU at 12 because I trust in Brian Kelly. Moving on to number 11. I got the Utah Utes. They have a very easy schedule. The only games that I worry about, and I'm not even worried about them, are against Arizona and Oklahoma State. Those are the really only 2 ranked opponents that they have this season as of right now. They could, if everything goes right, they could be an undefeated team this season. I think they'll slip up and lose one game at least this season, but I really like them winning the Big 12 in their first year. So, Utah Utes at 11. At 10, I got FSU. Disappointing end for all the FSU fans last season. FSU has a very good coach in Mike Norvell. He's one of my favorite coaches in college football. I love what he's doing at FSU. The quarterback situation changed. Of course, Jordan Travis is on the Jets now. DJ Ugalungale, I can't say his last name at all. I know how to say it. I don't know how to say it. I can't pronounce it. It's just going to be DJ for me. Started his career at Clemson. Didn't go as well as he wanted it to. Was at Oregon State last year, was a very solid quarterback. I think he'll be very solid in Mike Norvell's offense, and he'll have a very solid season. The running game is going to be pretty solid with them. They got Roydell Williams coming over from Alabama. I think the running game is something they can lean on a little bit more this year. Defense is going to be very good. I think they win the ACC this year. I think they have a game against Clemson that could decide that. It could decide the ACC, and then they have Notre Dame later in that season. But I like FSU at 10 right now. Moving on to number 9, I got Penn State. James Franklin has to win a big game sometime. It's got to happen, like eventually. Probably not, but who knows? They got a very easy schedule this year. The only ranked opponent they have at this time is Ohio State. Ohio State is a much better team, has a much better roster. It was a close game last season to some degree, but they don't have Michigan this year. They have Washington at the whiteout game. Washington isn't what they were last year. This should be a one-loss team. Should be. They have the talent to do it. Drew Aller is a solid quarterback. He needs to throw the ball down the field. Needs to have that big playability, but he has a running game that needs to get back to what they were 2 years ago with Nick Singleton and Katron Allen. If they run the ball like they did last year, this is not going to be a very solid team. They need to get back to what they were 2 years ago. Nick Singleton needs to be that big play back. Katron Allen is that goal line back, those tough yard back. It's one of the best backfields in football. They just have to use it right. Defense is going to be solid with Abdul Carter leading the way. Manny Diaz is gone as a DC. Tom Allen is taking over. We're going to see how that looks. Manny Diaz was one of the best coordinators in college football. He's at Duke now. But I like Penn State at 9. They could definitely move up. Should only be a one-loss team this year. At number 8 is Michigan. Michigan is interesting. All the offseason stuff happening. Jim Harbaugh's gone. Left at a very good time, coincidentally. Sharon Moore is there. The culture is not going to change at Michigan at all. It is going to be run the ball with 8 offensive linemen and play good defense. With Donovan Edwards, they can definitely do that. One of the best backs in college football. The quarterback situation is very interesting. Alex Orji's there. Jake Tuttle's there. They have not named their starting quarterback yet at all. I think Alex Orji should have that starting quarterback job. He is not a great thrower of the football. But if Michigan wants to do what they do and run the ball, having Donovan Edwards back there with Alex Orji, that is a very dangerous thing to have in that backfield. They do have Texas, they do have Oregon, and of course they have Ohio State at Ohio State this year. I don't know if they'll be the favorite in those 3 games. Ohio State does have the talent to beat them this year, of course, but we're just going to have to see what happens. Moving on to number 7, I got Notre Dame. Notre Dame has, I think, one of the easiest schedules in college football this year. They have Texas A&M and FSU as their only ranked opponents they have. It's a very, very easy schedule for Notre Dame. Notre Dame, of course, isn't in a conference, so they have no way to get a bid into the college football playoffs. They just have to win their games, which for this year should be very easy. Marcus Freeman is making a name for himself down at Notre Dame. That team is still very solid, very good. I think Notre Dame can win every single game they play this year and go undefeated. Will they? We'll have to see, but they should definitely be in the college football playoffs come January.
Stop what you're doing. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Please do us that favor if you're going to watch the video. Back to Bryce.
At 6, we got Ole Miss. They have Georgia, have LSU, have Oklahoma. Ole Miss is a very good team. They need to win at least, I think, 2 of these ranked games to get into the playoffs, which is very possible. I think they're a better team than LSU. I think they're a better team than Oklahoma. Georgia is, of course, going to be the tough one. Jackson Dart is a very good college quarterback, probably one of the best in college football. It's going to have to ride on him a good bit. They did lose Judkins to Ohio State, which does suck, but I believe they'll be a 1-2 loss team that sneaks into the college football playoffs. 5, we got Alabama. A lot happened with Bama this season. They lost a lot of players. They lost a good amount of players to Ohio State. Nick Saban's out. Kalen DeBoer is in from Washington. Led his team to the national championship last year, but did lose to Michigan. The culture, unlike Michigan, the culture has changed at Alabama. No one is going to replicate Nick Saban's culture. Alabama is, of course, still going to be Alabama, but it's definitely going to be a different team, differently ran team this year for sure. So with Alabama, they have a tough schedule. They face Georgia, they face LSU like always. They have Missouri, who is very close to being a top 12 team this year. And of course, you have the Iron Bowl game at the end of the season that is always up for grabs. It's like that ball was that Jalen Milroe threw in the Iron Bowl last year, which we're going to get to that now. So Jalen Milroe had a very weak start to the season last year. He started off being basically benched and then came back in midseason, ultimately winning that job back and then taking Alabama to the Rose Bowl. With that being said, though, they got into the playoffs. They beat Georgia, kicking them out. So Alabama is still going to be a top team, but like I said, they could be a 2-3 loss team this year if stuff doesn't go right. If Georgia's going to be tough for them to beat. I think Georgia beats them this year. LSU, we're waiting to see what they're going to be, honestly, but like I said, Missouri's tough, and then that Iron Bowl, if they lose to Georgia and then lose to Auburn in the Iron Bowl, it's going to be a 2-loss Bama team, and they're going to be fighting at the end of the rope for a playoff spot. At 4, it's a little bit of mix-up to the other rankings, possibly. So I got Oregon at 4. They have games against Ohio State and Michigan this year. I like them in the Michigan game. I don't really like them in the Ohio State game as of right now. It's going to be interesting to see if they can stop those run games, especially how strong Michigan's is always, and then how Ohio State's is going to be this year. I love the team that Dan Lanning is building. And they brought in Dylan Gabriel from Oklahoma, and that team's going to ride on him all the way. He's a great run pass option quarterback, can throw the ball down the field. They have a lot of experience on this team too, but that pass rush is going to have to be better than it was last year. They were very bad at getting at the quarterback. They're moving to the Big Ten this year. The Big Ten, I'm sorry to say it, but it's not the Pac-12. The Big Ten it's gaining on the SEC. It's really right behind the SEC. Oregon moving to the Big Ten. They have the pieces to win games. They have all that unlimited NLI money now. But Oregon at 4, and that moves me to 3 with Texas. So I like Texas a little bit better than Oregon right now. Texas is one of my favorite teams. They have some tough games. They face Michigan. That's going to be tough, but I like Texas. They have Georgia, which I think could and should be. Don't know if it will be, because one of these teams is going to come out losing the game, but could be the SEC championship game, and I would love for that to be the SEC championship game. That is one of my games I'm looking forward to this year, is Georgia and Texas. Quinn Ewers, top 3 quarterback. You could possibly say he's 2, possibly say he's 1. It's kind of your preference. I like Ewers. I kind of like him at the 2-3 spot at quarterback, like ranking quarterbacks. Steve Sarkisian is a very good coach, has been coaching that team good. They're getting better every single year. And the wide receiver room at Texas is really good. Isaiah Bond coming over from Alabama, Matthew Golden, DeAndre Moore. I don't know if any of them are as fast as Xavier Worthy, but all of them together, that's a speedy wide receiver room. It's going to be fun to see Quinn Ewers throw that ball down the field, especially with the season-ending injury to C.J. Baxter this year, which does suck to see happen to that running game, but it's going to be fun to see him air it out to those wide receivers this year. 2, Ohio State. They have a tough schedule. Have Oregon, have Penn State, and of course the big game against Michigan. It is at home against Michigan this year. If Ryan Day does not win this game against Michigan this year, there's going to be a lot of Ohio State fans calling for his job. It's been 4 years. It's been 3 years since he's won a game. It'll be 4 if he loses again to Michigan, especially with the team they have down there in Columbus. So this team got a lot of transfers from Alabama. You got Judkins coming over from Ole Miss. You have Caleb Downs, one of the best safeties in college football, coming over from Alabama. He's going to help that back into the defense a lot. But back to Judkins with Travion Henderson in that running back room. That is probably the best running back room in college football. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Will Howard coming over from Kansas State. He's able to lean on that solid running game. Emeka Egbuka is there also. He's going to have him to help him out a lot. But I'm interested to see how Will Howard goes. I don't know how he's going to play. Playing at Kansas State, he was solid. He was good. He also is a mobile quarterback. But like I said, he's going to have that running game to help him out a lot. And that brings me to number 1, Georgia. So I thought about putting Ohio State at 2 just because of the talent they have. They may be a more talented team than Georgia, but what it came down to for me was the quarterback. I don't trust Will Howard at all right now. Carson Beck has proven that he's people probably put him at number 1 on the quarterback rankings in college football. He's going to be a Heisman candidate this year. That defense is always good. It will always be good. If you didn't think Kirby Smart was the best coach in college football, he definitely is now with Nick Saban gone. He runs his team so good. That team is always solid. They do have a tough schedule. 5 ranked opponents right now. They start the season off with Clemson. They have Alabama this year. They have that game against Texas I just mentioned. They have Ole Miss, and they have Tennessee, of course. So they have a tough schedule. It's going to be a tested Georgia team. So if this Georgia team comes out undefeated in January, that's going to be the best team in college football for sure, because they were tested all season. So Georgia is the favorite right now. They probably will be the favorite throughout the season. But sorry it's a little long today. Had a lot to cover. It's going to be 12 minutes next week, I promise. But thank you all for watching. Thank you for listening, whether it's on YouTube, Spotify, whatever you're doing. Make sure to help us reach our goal where we talk to the players, coaches, fans, all that good stuff. It's going to be fun it'd be fun to get out to some stadiums, especially some college stadiums these upcoming seasons. Make sure you hit that like button, that subscribe button, share button. Make sure you share with everybody to know whether they like football or not, We're going to be bringing some more college football, some more NFL content, especially because the season is right around the corner. But thank you all for watching, and see y'all next week.